Building a website doesn't have to be very complicated, especially with the AI tools that are out there right now. If you're thinking about making a website using AI and not sure where to start, this episode is perfect for you. We're going to talk about two very important AI tools made by Google Labs. One is called Pomelli and the other one called Stitch. We're going to use Pomelli and we're going to use Stitch to come up with a design idea behind our product. And Stitch is so powerful that you can actually get the entire HTML code from it. So we're going to build the brand with Google Pomelli, we're going to build the design with Google Stitch, and we're going to build out the code base with Claude Code. So whether you're a web designer or web developer, this is a workflow you don't want to miss. And as always, if you enjoy content like this, please like, share, subscribe for more. Now, if you're ready, let's get started. So we're going to start out with how it works. Quick intro to Claude Code, very basic. I know a lot of you guys obviously have worked with it. I see some of the people may not necessarily in the chat, so that's okay. I will share a link later at the end where you can look at this one more comprehensive look into Claude Code as well, okay, if you're not familiar. But I'll give you some idea. And then we're going to set up Pomelli Stitch. I've actually built something because one of the things about Pomelli and Stitch is these things take time to generate, right? So we're in a limited amount of time, but I want to show you what I did so you can kind of see. So if you have questions during that time, definitely ask it, okay? Yeah, we're going to talk about a Claude MD as well. This particular workflow doesn't necessarily need anything custom. I built one just to kind of as a general one, but I'll share that with you as well. And a lot of things that you see today is going to be shared with along with the resources at the end. Okay, so you get an email about it. Okay, let's talk about why this matters. We are in this vibe coding era where this new idea about how to build products has come into play. Forget about products, just building anything. I think if you went to any product management course or design school or anything like that you've done, you know that it starts with a plan. And then it goes into design, and then you build, and then you test. You don't go back and forth 50 times between build, plan, design. That's just not a very efficient way to do things. And in the vibe coding environment, that has been sort of promoted as the way to do it because you just prompt the AI to do it. So I guess maybe there's some business case for them to do it because you can get you to use more tokens. But as tokens are becoming more expensive, we're using with Claude and stuff like that, the models are getting better, the usage limits are getting more compact. We have to be more smart about how we do things, and we need to go back to the way we used to do things, right? Plan, design, build, but we can still use AI to do it. So I'm not a big fan of the approach of just like, Lovable or Google AI Studio, where you come in to a blank slate and then you type out a whole prompt and then you tell it and then it does it for you. And there's a problem with that because you're not in control of the infrastructure that's in the back end building that thing. You need to be a little bit in control on the design and the planning side of things so you can create something custom for you, okay? And so these tools that I'm going to show you today are designed to help with that, right? And so we can go back to the way things used to be done is just plan, design, and build, and then you can finally test and deploy, okay? So that's why this is important. One thing I will mention in our last course, like things are changing rapidly. Okay, so in the last course I did yesterday, we talked about connecting co-work with Gmail, right? Look at this. Google, Microsoft 365, you saw this news yet? They just came up with their own co-work, right? And somebody mentioned also, they're like, I wish Microsoft, my Microsoft Gmail or email I could do triage with it because that was part of the whole point of the course. Now you can do it with with Microsoft. So just keep in mind that everything we learn can always change in about a month or two, right? New things come out, new strategies. Okay. And one thing I will say about this, Anthropic made a big mistake not either patenting or doing some trademark on this word co-work because now Copilot came out and they're claiming something like 30% cheaper than their co-work, and they're using this word. And so anyway, as a business person, I'm like, oh man, you made a big mistake. You should have blocked anybody from using this word or picked a better word because now you can compare, right? Anyway, so I just mentioned that. Let's move on. So we're going to talk about theory first. How is this going to work? Before we even dive in, I'm just going to show you what the process looks like. Okay. Um, that's the same process that I just showed you, right? Plan, design, build, test. We're going to plan with Pomelli. We're going to design with Stitch. And then we're going to build and test kind of in that environment with Claude and any skills that you want to use. In our case, when necessary, you don't need to, but Claude, man, it has all these front-end design skills, all kinds of things you can put in. And depending on what you're building out, you can build more skills yourself. So for instance, if you want to collect emails, if you want to connect to a database, right? These are all things that are possible. And then we're going to also use Claude Chat in this process to help us in the design side of things, because there's some prompting work that needs to happen here. And it would just be easier to get the AI to build those prompts out for you. And then you can feed it into Stitch rather than just you try to figure out how to do it, right? So and then with Claude Chat, it just makes it easier to do that, right? And then from tests, we're going to deploy. And I'll show you some ways that you can deploy, because once you have the code, you own the entire infrastructure of this website. Now you can get it on GitHub. You can get it on, if you want to, and then once you get it on GitHub, you can get it everywhere. You can get it on Google AI Studio. You can get it to a Lovable. You can get it on a platform called Versal, where you can host it yourself. You can even host it on GitHub Pages. And I'll show you an example that I did with this, right? So once you own the code, you can access it in from anywhere you want, and then you can also optimize it anyway. But the cool thing about this is that the Pomelli and Stitch, for the most part, are free. And if you do get sort of any level of tier, I think they have a $6.99, which I have with Google Plus. You can do so much and save a lot of cost on tokens, right? Doing most of the work here, and then you bring it to Claude Code and you do some doing finishing touches, right? So that's another factor, the cost element of doing things. Okay. All right. So I'll talk about folder structure. Claude Code is done. You can work with it best when you do a folder structure, and we'll have sort of a root folder, and then we'll have a kind of a working station that we're going to put stuff in. And this is sort of like a landing page workstation that I've developed. That if I'm working on other landing pages, I just want it all in just one workstation. Why? Because maybe I'm going to throw something called a Claude MD, which is basically a file that gives Claude Code instructions. And I want to throw that inside this folder so that every time I open Claude Code in that folder, it reads that, because that's part of its infrastructure, is that it just reads anything called Claude MD when it enters a folder. And then it gives a set of instructions to it. This Claude MD can be distributed between different folders. And the good thing about that is that you can break it up so that every time Claude reads it, it's really specific to the work that you're going to do in that particular project. You don't want to create just one, which you tend to have, which is a kind of a global one, which is when you download Claude Code, you get this global one. You want to split it so that you're not using up tokens, right? Every time it reads a file, it's using tokens, right? And you want to make sure that you don't go over. One of the key things that I want to mention between Claude Code and Cowork, very important, is that Claude Code can read up folders. And so if I'm in this landing page folder, landing page workstation, which is this folder right here, and there's another folder that is the parent of this folder, and there's a Claude MD in there, Claude can read that as well. So it's able to do that, and gives you an ability to kind of distribute Claude MDs that way as well. Claude Cowork, I want to make sure I said that right. So I was talking about Claude Code. Claude Cowork, on the other hand, it doesn't work like that. And I've actually tested it, and these responses came from it as well, because there was some confusion online. I was like, can it do that or not? Some people said yes, some people not. Claude Cowork can. Claude Cowork works in a particular folder. And so you have to deliberately tell it to go and read those particular things if it and then he has to ask for permission as well. So that's the benefit of working with Claude Code in this case, is that you can go to your parent folders and get information, and especially with like something like this Claude MD, it reads it automatically. So what I've done is on the parent root folder, I just told Claude, hey, work like this. Okay, and I'll show you what that looks like real quick. This is my folder right here, Claude Code root. Okay, I have a workstation here, I have a workstation here, and this is that Claude MD that's right here. Let's quickly open it up and see what that looks like. Some global rules. that pertains to this workstation, right? How to work with me, some code style, right? File hygiene, how to do things in this particular project, right? I'll share this with you guys. You can read through it and look at it and see how, and modify it the way you want it. But that's what it is. And then this is my landing page folder right here. Double click, go inside, and we have this Crumble demo. And then basically I have everything that I want to do um, inside this. And I'm going to close this. And this should have been Crumble. It's a different website. Crumble. I'll show you what Crumble is. If you like cookies, you're going to like this lecture. So my project files live inside this. Okay. Project specific. And then you can put things like other types of MDs like links MD and stuff like that. You can then tell Claude, hey, I built out the website, but they all need to be linked out now. Here are the descriptions, here are the things, and then go and link them to the specific links that I have left in it. That rather than you having to type everything out inside the terminal itself, right? So you can have actual file like that inside there. Okay. So hopefully that makes all make sense. Let's move on to setting up. Okay. And I promise you, this is probably going to be the last sort of slide. We're going to jump in. This is going to be more hands-on than anything. So first thing is we're going to use Pomelli to create these items just to get exposure to it right now. But then you're going to see me repeat this over and over. Something called business DNA. And we're going to create images. We can create business data. This is sort of one of the outputs that we're going to get out of Pomelli. And then we're going to get also a business idea, sorry, a website idea. It actually can make a website for you, believe it or not. Pomelli is that powerful. We're going to then use this information to create something called a design MD. And we're going to use the Claude chat to do that. And then once we've done that, we're going to feed the design MD inside the Stitch website. Okay, so, and then with Stitch, we're going to create our website design. And we're also going to get the code, because the crazy thing about Stitch is that once it makes the design for you, you can actually extract the code. You don't have to like feed that sort of image to Claude Code and say, hey, this is what it looks like. Can you code it out for me? No, it does it all for you. Boom, ton of tokens already saved, right? Then we're going to feed that code to Claude and then do a bunch of things, right? Optimize it and change it, but and then finally deploy. Okay, and the way we're going to do that, we're going to set up MCP, because Stitch and Claude Code can connect directly to each other. Okay. All right, so let's jump in, and we're going to start with Pomelli. Now, when you first get into Pomelli, one of the key things to keep in mind is that unfortunately it's not set up for multiple websites or brands, you want to say. I don't know why, maybe because obviously it's the early days, it's experimental, but I hope eventually you can just create multiple different company DNAs or campaigns, you want to say. But for now, you can only do one at a time. Okay. So the first place thing you're gonna get is gonna ask you drop in your website. We are starting right now with a sort of an idea that we already have a website, and we're going to build a landing page for this website. That's sort of the workflow that we're going to do. If you don't have a website, that's okay. I'll share with you guys at the end, there are some links, some places you can go that you can get templates, right? And then you can then build out something sort of as a preliminary as a design idea, and then you can describe it and you can get started that way. So it's not necessarily you have to start with a particular website, but it does make it easier. And in fact, you can use a competitor's website to extract some things from it. Then you can build your actual website with it. Okay, so that's another idea, is if you see something, for instance, Apple, you love Apple's website, feed Apple's website into Pomelli and then extract it, the things that you want out of it. You get so much flexibility with creating things that it's amazing. Okay. So anyway, this is where we are. And I fed this particular website, Crumble. Let's look at it for real quick together. Crumble Cookies I believe is an American company, and they're also in Canada as well, and they make fresh cookies. Okay. And they deliver it. They have locations. These are all the cookies, as you can see. Um, Man, these look good. So, and they also do cakes and stuff like that. So what we're gonna do is use this as our starting point because it saves us a bit of a time on the design side, especially for something like this. And we're going to build out the landing page for this. As a result, learn the workflow that we can use from with using these AI tools. Okay, so that's what Crumble is. And what I else just did is I fed the website, and Pomelli does everything. It goes and scrapes the entire website, finds the fonts, finds the colors for the brand colors that they're using, a tagline, and it also fills out brand values as well. So in this case, their brand values are experience, relationship, authenticity, innovation, kindness. These are all from the text that's on the website that it extracted and realized what the brand values are for this company, right? Brand aesthetics, playful, modern, minimalistic, premium. Okay. And then brand tone and voice, playful, enthusiastic, right, friendly, and then a business overview. The nice thing about this is that there's this little pencil icon here is you can go in and actually edit this yourself and actually add things and all that kind of stuff. So you have some flexibility there, which is why I said you can take a competitor's company website, bring in here, extract what you need to, and then just make the changes yourself and then apply it, for the kind of website that you want to build, right? So that's the cool thing about it. Once you do that, you get the sort of the business details here. The next thing you can do is go to photo shoot. And this is where it gets crazy. There's two ways to use photo shoot. One is you create product photo shoots because remember, when Pomelli goes and extracts information from their website, it also goes grabs other images as well, for the most part, most especially on the page that you share. And then you can then use those images to create other things with it. So, or you can generate an image yourself. So this is where, again, if you're starting from scratch, you would pick this one because you want to start uh, feeding your images and make images for yourself. But essentially, what I did was because I'm starting with theirs, I started here and I fed in a product image. You select image. These are all, see these images? These are not generated. These are from their website, right? If you look down here, these are all their images. And Pomelli extracted it. And all you can do is click on any of them. So we'll do it live right now. Click on this one, and it says looks good at the bottom right here. You see, I click looks good. And then Photoshoot here starts generating all kinds of website images for you based on this. Now, it actually categorizes it. So I'll click on generate Photoshoot down here. Oh, actually, before I do that, I'm going to decide what kind of images I want. So click the pencil icon here. And then it automatically recognizes that this is a kind of a food image. So it already recommends me a few things: a studio type image, an ingredient type image, an in-use type image where there's someone using it, contextual, right? But if you scroll down, there's all kinds of other images. There's a floating one. So you can only pick four at a time. So I'm going to say, instead of, let's say, the studio one, I'm going to pick one floating. So there's, let's see what we get from this one. And we'll keep, I guess, these ones just relates to the brand, right? We want something around ingredients, usage, and contextual. I'm going to click looks good and then generate photo. That's why I did this ahead of time because it takes a minute to generate all these images. Um, but I just want to show you what you get once you do that. Um, we'll wait a couple of minutes here. I don't know if I leave the page, it's going to cancel or not, but let's take a second here, see if it'll generate it. And you see there's a couple more things down here as well. There's brand book, and then there's websites as well. And I already downloaded the brand book, so let me see if I can just share that with you real quick. Well, that's generating. I wonder if I can find it. I can download it again. Let's move on. This is less than a minute. If I just move, yeah, it's still generating. Okay, brand book. So the other thing I did was before this, there was a bunch of buttons. You just ask you, hey, do you want to create a brand book? No problem. It'll ask you what images you want to create. And then you can even like here edit the cover, right? You can select the cover you want and stuff like that. This would be really great if you want to share this with a potential customer. Let's say if you are, let's say you're this company and now you want to share something, or a web developer to, or in this case you're the web developer, but you want to feed it to Claude, like it gives you color palette, right? What you're using, basically everything about your brand, right? And you can feed this now to as part of the content you can do to Claude as well, or Stitch in this case. That's one thing. Let's go back to the photo shoot. Look at these amazing images, right? This is that float one that we created before that we selected. It even knows that it's peanut butter, right? Isn't that crazy? Like it made these things. And so what we're gonna do is create all our images here, right? So what I can just click these three dots, download. Okay. The other thing I can do is save to business DNA. What that does is that I'm going to go to business DNA here, is that it basically feeds in like it's, you think about it like a positive feedback loop. It started with an idea about like what your business is about, but as you generate these images, it optimizes it in terms of like, okay, this is what they really want for their, for their business. This is what their business is really about. The more images you feed to it, it optimizes, it changes it, right? And so you end up with sort of a catalog of images and content. And as you go down, you see other things as well. Like there's franchising section where, okay, now you know that this company is also franchising. It is building, in a sense, the business DNA, the nature of this business, right? And then you have assets here as well that basically has all the images that you collected. And remember, you can click on these, edit them, make different versions of them. But this is what it collected off of you, the website. What I also did was I grabbed, I went to photo shoot, and you can go back and go back here. And then when you click here, you can add images that you've already created, right? And then here you can just write a prompt and it's using Nano Banana and stuff like that to generate all kinds of images for you. So I created this, you can see here, it's like a raining cookies, right? And I thought that would be a good, maybe hero image that would be behind. Okay, so you'll see in a second. Then down here, you also can create a website with it. And then you can actually publish it too. Um, Obviously the link and everything like that is not branded, but gives you a chance to kind of see what it might look like. So I'm going to share it. This is what Pomelli built for me. And I actually really liked it. As you can see, like there's one sitting by itself. Like it's not perfect, right? But it's a crumble experiences. And so this becomes actually inspiration, right? We got to a point of inspiration. You have a website, you have all these things that you want to work with. Now, let's move on to the next step. Next step is where we go to Stitch. Here's what I did with Stitch. I went over here, the three dots, make the zoom back in, the three dots. I clicked on download business data. Okay, this grabs your basically a bunch of images and basically information. Actually, it grabs your entire business DNA and turns it into a JSON, and then you can then feed that into the next step, which we're going to go. I grabbed that information that I got, and also I downloaded a bunch of images as well. So I got everything I needed for my website. Then you go to Claude Chat, and I can share this prompt with you, but essentially the business data that I got, I gave it to it, and I said, I need a design MD. Now, why do I need a design MD? Because when you go to Stitch, I'm going to go back to all projects. This is sort of the main page that you see with Stitch when you enter. And you can click on right here to start with your design. I wouldn't start here, start with your design. Go here. It's going to ask you for a design MD file. Okay. And then you can feed it, and you can feed it, upload anything from images to code to front end information, logos, right? You can even share a website, if you wanted to go off of another website right here, you can share GitHub repositories. We're going to focus on this design MD because we're going to guide it. And why not create something very specific, that follows a standard, right? So that's what we're going to use this Claude chat for. That I said, okay, here's my business text information. That this is in the form of JSON, as you can see right here. Okay, but it's in a text file. It's okay, you can read it. And then I told her this is the website that he created for me as well. I'm working out of Google Pomelli. Build me basically a design MD file. Looked through it, understood it, right? Under everything. And here's what it made for me. Crumble landing page. Colors, topography, spacing, shadows, border radius, page architecture. It gave me an architecture. Now you can sit here and change it, right? You can spend as much time as you want to optimize it here, but you're doing a bunch of your work here. Now you have a design, right? We're going to grab that and we're going to feed it to Stitch. So we're going to continue to start work with Stitch. Drop in here. And remember all these images that we collected, right? We have all these images that were, where were they? Brand book, websites, photo shoot. I'm going to go back. All these images that we had, right? We're going to grab those, upload them here because we want to make sure that Stitch has everything it needs to work with. Okay, it's going to save you so much time later. That's basically all you need. Images, the logo, right? And the design MD file. And if you want to, it might confuse it more if you feed it too much stuff like websites and stuff like that. I won't even worry about the instructions unless you have very something is specific. But because we just want to give it a starting point. Once you do that, you're going to end up something like this, a page like this. By the way, this is very heavy on the computer. I don't know why. I think they're set up in such a way to use your computer resources a lot. But my fan is running like crazy, and I have a fairly good desktop running. So just keep that in mind. But what it does is it grabbed that design MD file and basically brings all our images. Now, obviously, throughout the process, I brought more images in, right? But just focus on this top half right here. These are all these images that it brought in. Okay. And then what it'll do is it'll create your first landing page. This is what I started with. You see, it's not that great. Cookies for every occasion is slapped on over this image. Bunch of things are missing, and like that. This is good learning experience because if you're making multiple ones, you can go back and change your design MD, right? Bring it back here. If you don't want to do that, that's okay. Click on it. Over here, you can type in what you want to change. Stitch is designed to not be like Photoshop, where you can click on it, drag and so you have to use the AI to do these things. And it's not going to charge you anything. This is all free right now. Okay, everything's happening. Now, the only other thing you can do is you can click on this pencil icon, and then you can change text. So if you want to change this to something else, you can do that. Okay, that's one thing that makes it a little bit faster. So I create this first one. Didn't like it. I make I give it a prompt. I told it to, hey, put this image that I have up here, which I click on it. One of these images that was up here. There's no point in looking for it, but anyway, it's up there. Put it as the hero background. Boom, it did it for me. Okay. As you can see, there's more versions of this landing page that I did. It keeps getting better. Now I decided, hey, I really like what Pomelli did for me with these little bit of a description under the cookies and a link at the bottom because obviously it's a landing page. I want to send people somewhere, right? So I added that, right? I used that as inspiration. And I even grabbed the text off of this, moments to share, right? And then I also added this section here, crumble experiences, all right? This didn't take very long, probably 30 minutes, guys. And every round keeps getting better and better and better. Finally, I have something that looks like this. Okay, and you can actually preview it. So I'm going to go click on preview, new tab, and it'll open up like it's in a new window. And here's my landing page that I built. It has a footer as well, right? Carmel Cares. Not bad, right? Order now. And look at the buttons. You hover over them, they pop out. So it's got some functionality in there as well. It's not just some static page. And the logo is right here that I provided the logo. Okay. So going back to Stitch, once you do that, you pretty much have everything you need. You can right click on this. I'm going to go to the pointer, right click, copy as code. And this is where you're going to get that HTML file that you really need. You can also copy it to Figma. You can copy it as an image. You could do a bunch of things. And you can even turn it into an instant prototype, which I did here. Instant prototype, when you click on that, brings it over here, and you can do a bunch of things with that as well, add screens. So if you're building an app, I think the prototype would be ideal because you can then slide between different pages of the app. In our case, it's just one page, so not necessary. But you can go back. So we're pretty much like really good right now. We have the code, we have the way it's going to look. We just need to bring it into Claude Code. Now, one way to do that is to obviously grab the code first, but we also need to share all this other stuff to Claude Code as well. Right? We have images, we got all the. So we're gonna go to MCP. So what I did was click on export, go to MCP, and then set up MCP. It's going to give you an API key, but you're going to want to select Claude Code down here. And then it's going to give you a prompt to copy. Okay? You're going to copy that, and then you're going to go to Claude Code, and I've already done it, obviously. But I want to show you what that code looks like. Yeah, see, it's so heavy, guys, on the computer, Stitch, that it is right now like kind of slowing down my computer, especially with Zoom and everything running. But just to show you, this is what I just copied. This is what that looks like. It has the API key. Obviously, I don't want to go and change it now, right? And so anyway, that's what this is. And then once we have that, we can bring it into Claude Code. And the way to do that is just to open up your folder, right? Remember, we made a crumble folder right here. And then fired up Claude Code. Once you do that, you feed that in and it'll set it up for you, the MCP. So it'll connect it. You just drop that in, it'll set it up for you. And then the next thing to do is that you need to click on the particular window that you want to carry over. Click on that, click on export, and then click on MCP, and then copy the prompt. Okay, and that prompt looks like this. Stitch instructions. It'll give the project title, the ID, and the landing page that you have selected that you want with the ID of that. So Claude can know everything that's happening right here without you having to give too much. But you also have the code. So we're going to go in right here and drop in our code. That's the code literally from that. And if you want to view it, you can get an extension Show you right here, live preview. Microsoft has this extension called live preview. So you just get this extension. And now when you click on here, open with live server, this is our website. I'm just zooming out so you can kind of see. We got everything. Now, when it comes to functionality, like, I click on these links, they're not going anywhere yet, right? But this is where you would then spend time in Claude and maybe create the MD files and be like, okay, if for this button, link it to this, for this one. And one of the things I would recommend is just use, what's it called? MailChimp, and set up a free account with MailChimp. They'll give you an embed code. You can feed it to Claude and you can even capture emails, right? Send them into MailChimp and save it if that's your goal with it. But we're here right now. It's not deployed yet, right? So how do we do that? Well, one thing is, and I can send the instructions later to you guys, is you connect Claude Code to GitHub. If you don't have a GitHub account, super easy. Just set one up. And you can actually have Claude basically push it to GitHub and it'll live right here and actually basically save it in GitHub pages. So I will share with you guys this link and you can open up this website yourself. Where is, put it in the chat. Go ahead and open up the site. You'll see what it looks like. But that's basically hosted on my GitHub. Okay. And it's not because you're using Claude to help you set it up. You just set up basically with MCP. You set up Claude Code to connect with um, what's it called? GitHub. Sorry, lost for words. With GitHub, and then you push it there. Now, that's one way to host it. Obviously, you don't have like a dedicated URL that's connected to it. But once it lives on GitHub, now you can do a bunch of things. Remember, you need SEO, you need to connect it with Google, you need a bunch of things. You can either do all these things manually and you can obviously use Claude to help you, but you can get it on something called Versal, which is basically hosts things for you, and then you can also provide it with a domain and all that kind of stuff. A much easier way, if you want, is to then bring it all into Lovable. And Lovable has, if you haven't used it before, it's super easy. It's basically a website builder, but it can actually host stuff for you as well. So if you go on their plans, they have a light plan, which is like $5 a month, which I use, which you can then put it on there. It won't have the Lovable logo and stuff like that, but then you can use a lot of their features. For instance, you can set up payments through them. You can set up database with Supabase. They make it very easy to do that. Avoid the coding, right? Or avoid the complexity. You can do SEO. They come with a phenomenal SEO feature now that you can now apply. And it makes it super easy to do all the SEO work using Lovable, right? With just simple prompt. And it actually tests this for you and you can fix things and all that kind of stuff with it too. Set up security if you need to, if it's a more complicated website, right? But the thing is that the code lives in GitHub. You own it. You can now duplicate it and make some changes. Remember, over in Stitch, you can now duplicate this and then make some changes for a different objective. If the landing page, you're trying to track a different type of audience, right? Maybe you're testing these cookies in this case because these are best sellers and you thought this is going to attract people. Well, you might run a couple more landing pages with different cookies or different offers and stuff like that, and you see which one does better, right? This makes it a lot faster for you to iterate between landing pages and cost effective because especially if you use it on Lovable, you can host as many as you want, link your own domain. Domain, where do you buy domains? Namecheap. Go to namecheap.com right here. and then you can buy domains and then use, and if you don't know how to set them up, again, use Lovable or just use Claude to help you give you the step-by-step instructions to do it, and it's super easy to do that. Okay, guys. So I hope that was clear. That was the workflow that I want you guys to show you. Again, we're going through this process of then using Claude Code. Remember, obviously, there's more complexity that comes from it that I can't fit in within the 45 minutes. That once in Claude Code, how can I build out this? How can I build out this? Right? There's more to it, but this would be maybe another session that I can do, is that we can go into more depth in web design. But remember, you have a senior web developer, basically a coder when you're working with Claude Code. And anything you want to do, you can use Claude Code to help you if you're doing things manually.